freaking out. What? God. I'm gonna cry. I am crying. What the heck? This book has ruined me mentally in the best possible way. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, then I hope you aren't too disappointed. Today, as you can see by the title, I will be talking about the one and only Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second and final book of the Six of Crows duology. What do I even say about this book without like fangirling so much? I don't know. I think this was my favorite book out of the duology. I want to reread it like so many more times, but so let's get into what this book is about. However, I will say that this is going to spoil Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I will try to put like a separate section for the spoilers, but I just don't know whether or not I'm gonna like stick to that. So just if you have not read the duology, then I would really suggest you don't watch this video until you have, and then we can talk about it. Now, what is this book about? Without giving away any spoilers. Basically, Inej has been captured by Vanek to trade for Kuwei, who is the son of the doctor guy, scientist, who made Jurdaparam, which is the drug that stimulates Grisha power, and he is the only living person to know what is in Jurdaparam and how to make it, and all of the different countries are now trying to fight to get that formula for Jurdaparam so that they can use it on Grisha and so on and so on. But now Kaz and the rest of the crows have to somehow get Inej out of this while also keeping Kuwei safe and away from literally everything else that's going on in the world, because they're out to get him. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say for the non-spoiler plot discussion. So let's get into my pros and cons of this book. As I said before in my Six of Crows review, the writing in this book is just amazing. I love how it just matches the entire vibe of the book. I'm really looking forward to any young adult books that Leigh Bardugo puts out in the future, especially the new one that's coming out maybe next year. I don't know, I'm not keeping up with that, but it's called Rule of Wolves, and it's the sequel to King of Scars, which I'm reading currently. But yeah, the writing is really nice. And secondly, the character interactions, as I said before in my Six of Crows review, because my opinions on Crooked Kingdom are pretty similar to Six of Crows, so I mean, you're not going to hear anything too different. How the characters interact with each other is just so cute and sweet, and they all have their special connections with each other. I just love hearing them like talk and have conversation. Like, I could just read an entire book of them talking to each other and it would never get boring for me. I'm going to turn off my fan to see if this does anything. There are people doing lawn work in the background, so I don't know what to do about that. Next, I wanted to discuss one of my favorite characters from Six of Crows, who now gets his own chapters in Crooked Kingdom. He's actually the first chapter, I believe, other than the little prologue thingy, and that would be Wylan. See, Wylan and I are pretty similar. He's kind of shy-ish, and I'm kind of shy, sort of, and he plays flute. I play the flute. Anyways, Wylan gets his own chapters in this book. In Six of Crows, he didn't get any. He was the only character out of the six to not have a point of view in this story, but luckily he starts off right here in chapter 2. I just want to see more of Wylan, honestly, after he's gone through all this crap. Anyways, I love Wylan. That's another pro. You know, just to connect this to Wylan a little bit, Jesper's backstory was really elaborated because in Six of Crows it was mainly focusing on Inej, Nina, Matthias. Yeah, I was really focusing on like those four, their backstories, so I was really excited to finally see what Jesper's was, since we figure out in Six of Crows that he's a fabricator, but like a hidden one, like no one really knew until later on, and like his relationship with his parents and all those things. I just really enjoyed seeing that like vulnerable side of him, because he's usually so like upbeat, charming, and it was just good to see another side of him. And my last pro of this book is the ending, and if you saw the little montage in the beginning of this video, the last clip is me crying at 2 a.m. I was not having it because the last time I cried over a book, it was in 5th grade, and it was for a warrior book. Wow, are we surprised? No. Yeah, that was because a cat died in that book, and now just it's a completely different vibe, and the fact that the Crooked Kingdom ending did that for me just blew me away, honestly. Now let's get into the cons of Crooked Kingdom. There really wasn't much that was like the writing or the plot. Like, it was just me. I think it was a me problem that these were cons. But I do want to say that the plot of the story is just confusing to me with all of the business aspect of it. So For example, like who's scamming who in this game of scammers, and like the constant battle between different countries to get this Jodha and also Kuwait. And so the plan that circulated around that, devised by the crows, it didn't make sense for me a lot of the time. So I was a bit lost during this entire book, but I was just so focused in on the characters because, again, it's a character-driven story. There was a certain character that was introduced in this book that was kind of like last minute in a way, and I just didn't see the need to put her there. She just felt so sudden to me. Like, she has significance. Like, everything that happens in this book that might be a bit out of nowhere is still necessary. It's just like, oh, okay. Well, that's really all I have to say for the cons. Let's get into the spoiler section. See, I have these tabs. They're not really, it's really not that much, and it's horrible. I will show you my King of Scars book to compare the annotations. Here's the baby herself. This is King of Scars. This is the book, as I said before, that follows Six of Crows. And it's more tied in with the Grisha trilogy, which I have not read, so sue me. This is the book, and look at that. Look at these annotations. It's just so much nicer. So I really hope to like change whatever this was. Hopefully get it to be more like this. But anyways, I'm gonna put this away. I will do a review on King of Scars once I finish it. I am a little bit less than halfway through it. Back to Crooked Kingdom. Let's just go through each of my tabs just to, you know, get a really good idea of what I did like and disliked. Alright, this first one I have is an orange tab, which means I really hated it. But not like I didn't hate the book, I just hated what just happened in this. Venek here is torturing Inej because he wants information about Kaz and all the crows and what their plan is and blah blah blah. But he takes this mallet thingy and is threatening to break her legs, which are like essential to her, not just because they're her legs, but also because she is the Wraith, she is a spy, and she relies really like heavily on her legs to, you know, navigate her. There's this one little quote, and she says, "He'll never trade if you break me," she screams, the words tearing loose from some deep place inside of her, her voice raw and undefended. "I'll be no use to him anymore." And then Venek is like, "Hold up a sec, don't break her legs." I hated that. And it was really sad because like I want to tell her like, Kaz loves you, just saying. Inej slowly became my favorite character in Crooked Kingdom. Anyone that tries to hurt her, I will hurt them, even though I'll probably like die, but it's okay, it's Inej. Next scene is a pink tab, which means it's romance for the most part. Sometimes I use it just because I love something so much, but usually it's just for romance. And this is when Nina and Matthias are stuck in this cave thingy. They had just run into Zoya, who was Nina's commander for the Grisha army. I really didn't get this part of the story, like them trying to get Grisha to escape all of a sudden. It's like a really out of nowhere subplot. However, they're stuck and Nina's asking Matthias like, "Why haven't you kissed me yet?" That's basically what this is. They kiss. Alright, this is something that I reacted to so strongly when I first read it, and I was so naive when I was going into this scene, and I was really stupid because I was lost in what was happening. Basically, Jesper goes into this room with a piano and sees Wylan there, and he's like they're staring at each other like, you wanna kiss? Wylan comes up to him and he's like, "Yes," and then he kisses Wylan. During the kiss, he starts being like, "What is wrong with this?" Because he's like questioning, why doesn't this feel as good as I thought it would feel? It's Wylan, why am I feeling like this? At the end of this chapter, we realize that it wasn't Wylan and it was Kuwait. Anyways, that made me so frustrated because Kuwait was being really annoying after that. He was just like, "You're a good kisser." Like right after, Jesper is just heartbroken because it wasn't Wylan and it was just this boy that they barely know. Alright, next is another romance. Let's talk about that. This scene is where Kaz and Inej are in the bathroom together, and Kaz is tending to Inej's wounds, and Kaz is trying to help her with her bandages or something, and all of a sudden he's like close to her neck and he kisses her on the neck, and then all of this trauma from what happened with his brother Jordy back in the day, that all comes like flooding back to him, and he just is like repulsed by it. It was just such a hard scene to read. Seeing that Kaz just couldn't bring himself to do that, it was just so sad. He was just trying to show affection and like show all these feelings for her. Nash was talking about how whenever someone touches her, she gets these kind of flashbacks to what happened at the menagerie. She was saying like when Nina hugged me for the first time, I flinched. Let's go to the next romance scene, guys. And that is when I got my happy ending with the Jesper and Wylan stuff. They did get back together, like they made up really quickly, so I was kind of like sad with that. I felt like Wylan should have given Jesper a really hard time. You know what, it's fine in the end, because in this scene on page 395, they kiss. But it's for real this time. This is after Wylan has become his normal self again, like he doesn't look like Kuwei anymore, and that was the original like reason why Jesper kissed Kuwei instead of Wylan. We are approaching the blue tabs in the book, and that means sad. You see, I knew Matthias was going to die. This is the first prediction I've ever made that was correct. I was watching like this interview with Leigh Bardugo, and one of the questions was, why did you kill them? And I just had like this feeling it was gonna be Matthias, but I just didn't think I would be right. Throughout the entire book, I was basically just contemplating, okay, this person is in a dangerous situation. Are they gonna die? But it all ended up being Matthias. On chapter 40, it is Matthias' point of view. It's a really short chapter because he's dead now, but he said, Matthias was dreaming again, dreaming of her. The storm raged around him, drowning out Nina's voice. And yet, his heart was easy. Somehow he knew she would be safe. She would find shelter from the cold. He was on the ice once more, and somewhere he could hear the wolves howling. But this time he knew that they were welcoming him home. That made me sad, seeing like him with all the wolves. I've never seen a scene like that where someone has passed away and we're getting their perspective like in the afterlife. And now we are getting to the last part of the book where I did indeed cry. First is one last pink tab, and that is where Kaz and Inej are now on the dock after they've completed their mission. They are holding hands. I'm just feeling the feelings coming back on. But as you can see, the next two tabs are blue, sad, and green, happy. Kaz basically made a deal with Sturmund, this dude that appears, and he happens to be Nikolai, King Nikolai from the Grisha trilogy and also King of Scars. He makes this deal with him so that he will go find Inej's parents, who have been gone for the longest time, and she's always said that it's really hard to find Sully parents because they always travel around. These entire 2 pages made me cry so much. The little clip that I showed, that was like a really small fraction of what actually happened because I was just not at my best. So she sees this ship in the distance, like Kaz gets her own ship because he knows that she wants to like travel around the world and help these people that were in the same situation as her. And then she sees her parents in the distance and she starts to just melt. She reached for Kaz's sleeve. She was going to fall. He had his arm around her, holding her up. Her mind split. Half of her was aware of his bare fingers on her sleeve, his dilated pupils, the brace of his body around hers. The other half was still trying to understand what she was seeing. A favor from Sturmund. He sent out scouts as part of her deal. If it was a mistake, no, she said as tears spilled over at last. It was not a mistake. Of course, if something had gone wrong during the job, they'd be coming to retrieve your corpse. Just Kaz being funny is the best thing ever. Come with me, she said. Come meet them. Kaz nodded as if steeling himself, flexed his fingers once more. Wait, he said. The burn of his voice was rougher than usual. Is my tie straight? That's what started the tear falling ceremony. Inej laughed, her hood falling back from her hair. That's the laugh, he murmured, but she was already setting off down the quay, her feet barely touching the ground. Mama, she called out. Papa, like, oh my god. Like, that's where I was in tears. And then the ending I wasn't really paying attention to, but I know that Inej went and threatened Pekka Rollins because he had hurt Kaz so many times, but she was there on her own account and said, I'm going to carve out your heart if you don't leave this place for good. And yeah, that's the end of Crooked Kingdom. Thank you so much, Leigh Bardugo, for writing this book. I'm gonna go cry now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be doing a King of Scars review next, hopefully. But yeah, I really hope you have a good day, and I will see you in the next video. No mourners, no funerals. Bye.